guys, we are here to discuss architecture of SAP system. That is something which is very important for us. And when anyone say architecture, multiple things come into play, right? So firstly, we are here to understand the architecture not related to SAP, but how many software applications are developed in the world from the time computing has started, and how and what was the purpose behind this software application development. That's the first thing what we have to understand, right? And on top of it, how SAP has come into existence and how SAP has developed their software applications, and what was the architecture initially they have followed and what architecture they have now. So unless until we get a fair idea about this architecture, we cannot go further for administration. That means foundation class, as when you are in KG or nursery or play school, you will be taught ABCDs. And if you know ABCDs, then you will be understanding everything slowly. So today's class is to make you understand what all these ABCDs relate to SAP administration. Or before you think about SAP administration, we are going to have a consideration of all software applications, because ultimately we are here gathered to do administration of software applications only. But our software applications are specifically developed by SAP AG. So let us start with every software application which is developed in the world, and then concentrate on SAP software application. Now you need to write down the heading what you are seeing in front of you, as just write down the heading and then sit pleasantly. R3 architecture of software applications. Write down the heading and then sit peacefully with a total concentration. And guys, till your course is not completed, you have to become total mean. And I hope you understand what you mean by mean. If you don't understand the subject, you have all the right to stop me anytime and ask me the question. Sir, I didn't understand this. Can you explain me one more time? I'll be more than happy to do it. And don't hesitate and feel that anyone else in the class would be feeling bad about it or whatever. If you don't ask me the questions, then only I'll feel bad. If you ask me the questions, and then there is nothing like I have to feel bad. I will understand, my people are understanding the things very well. So guys, here the discussion is R3. This is what the discussion is. So before you discuss anything else, nowadays guys, everywhere you have something called as a Google search, or nowadays we are seeing chat GPT and all. Yes or no? This chat GPT has become in such a way that whatever you type here, so you have an answer. Shall we type something about Rashid sir here? Who is Rashid SAP basis? Let us see whether ChatGPT is going to give some answer here. I'm also searching it for the first time. Or Rashid SAP basis. Oh my goodness. He has an answer for this also. Okay, or else SAP basis. What is that? People call me. Give some information. See this guys, how this chat GPT has become. So it is giving us who is the owner of my company name, Theranos Software. So nowadays, finding out the information related to a person has become very important. So in the similar way, if you go to Google and type in, so you are getting all my history, geography, civics, economics, and everything. This is not something like what I'm showing to tell me something great about myself. If anyone want to understand about me more, what are my education qualifications and from where I belong to, what did I do and all, what were my companies wherein I worked. So my history, geography, civics, economics, everything is here, including my phone numbers here. Let me see whether this rocket is giving my phone numbers. Oh, someone else are coming here with my name. A lot of people. Even we have a chef with my name. Okay. So this is the picture, guys. View phone numbers for free. So now he's asking you. You can get my phone numbers from there, right? So this is very simple today. That you have to be very careful in this. Tomorrow, after completing your basis administration, you will be sending your resume with your family name and all. When your family name is emphasized on that, people can just find out because today everyone have a LinkedIn account. Yeah, you will be maintaining your LinkedIn and all stages. So people are going to find you out. So be careful while giving your information somewhere as a person working on some other stream or some other domain. Now you're keeping some experience. So be very careful with that. The information today is just coming like this. Okay, now coming back to the class. In this R3 architecture, guys, what does R stands for? The moment you hear a word R, most of the people will have an understanding that R means release. But here it is not the release. Here it is real time, or what you can say, run time. Guys, what do you mean by real time? Real time is nothing but anything and everything which runs with the time is real time. Yes or no? Guys, on a planet Earth, do we have anything which is not running with the real time? Are we human beings real time people? Or someone has a kind of a powers to go back in their childhood? No, right? And go back yesterday and come down in that way. So now we can't go. We are running with the time. So we are here gathered to understand the software applications which are developed and which are running with the time. So this is what R means. So when you say that as R is a real time or run time, anything and everything which runs with the time is a real time. What all this three means? Three means to develop a software, you require certain entities in it. Okay. So the three major entities of a software application are called as three tiers, not tier, three tiers. And the three tiers are presentation tier. Guys, what do you mean by presentation? Today, our presentation is Internet Explorer or Mozilla or Firefox. Any web browser is presentation. If I want to log into ICICI Bank, what is that which is going to come in front of me? This is my presentation. So that means if a software is designed in such a way that it has its own presentation. And when I say login and give my credentials here, what would happen if I give my credentials and hit enter? That information has to go to somewhere which is called as application. An application has to do what? Process it. Presentation today is UI, user interface. This is my user interface. If I give my user ID and password, someone has to take my user ID and password and process it. That is nothing but application. Application is processing it, going into the DB, fetching for my record. If my user password is right, it is allowing me in. So the storage medium where the data is stored is database. So if a software is designed on these three tiers and that software is used for real-time purpose, running real-time environment, which is running with the time. If you can design such a software, then we address that software to have R3 architecture. Very simple, simple explanation. So here, when we are discussing the architecture of a software, there are two aspects. What is what is the usage of that software application? The usage is to run a real-time environment. Now, for example, if I say a bank server, let us talk about ICICI. Today, ICICI runs on SAP. Yeah, I have logged into ICICI Bank and my credentials are stored in ICICI Bank. Means what? They are stored in the database of SAP system. And in that particular software, you have a entity called as application, which responsibility is to process your request. As a user, I can log into my bank using UI, or today wherever you go, you have GUI, graphical user interface. That is my web browser. This is a graphics, right? So if you have these three entities in your software, then we consider that software to be three-tier architecture or R3 architecture. So this is what is a nutshell understanding what we have to have. But before I discuss more about R3 architecture softwares, the question what has to come in your mind is, sir, before R3 architecture softwares, this architecture softwares exist only between these periods. Which period? 1992 to 2003. Before 1992, did we had any softwares? Yes, we had. So those softwares follow what architecture? Before R3, guys, we had something called as R2 architecture softwares. These softwares exist between 1980 to 1992. Before 1980, did we had any software, sir? Yes, we had. At that time, between 1970 to 1980, whatever the softwares we had, they are R1 architecture software. So to understand R3 much better, I have to start my class from R1. So R1 means in a software, or if any software development company has designed a software wherein application, database, and presentation all are clubbed into one unit. You can't understand what's an application there, what's a database there, what's a presentation there. Neither you can separate them. Everything is clubbed as one entity. Then we call it as one tier. And we call that architecture as R1 architecture softwares. Then after that, because of the limitation of R1 architecture, SAP has given, sorry, world has given birth to R2 architecture softwares. We are going to discuss about the limitations as well. And how does a R2 architecture software look like? Presentation is separated. You can separate a presentation, but application and database are acting as one unit. So between this period, this kind of softwares were developed. They are considered as two-tier architecture softwares. And after this two-tier architecture softwares, and because of the limitations of two-tier architecture softwares, in the present world, we have three-tier architecture softwares, wherein application is separated, database is separated, presentation is separated. Understood? To discuss this three tiers much better and clear, I have to start my class with R1 architecture. Yes, guys. And to explain you R1 architecture, I have to take you back to the ages. Ages means when I was born in late 70s. I was born in late 70s, right? So I have to take you to that particular timing. So guys, if I take you to that particular timing and make you stand there and ask you, look at IT world. At that time, there was no big IT world at all. So operating systems hardware was the size of a room. Operating systems was just getting developed. These all things were happening at that time. So I have to take you to that period. And if I ask you, what was the first operating system which Microsoft has released to the world? Any idea? Guys, the first operating system which was released to the world was called as DOS. MS-DOS. That is this black and white screen. Today also we have this in Windows. This is MS-DOS, guys, disk operating system. Now, anyone have a knowledge and working experience on this command line? If I have to create a directory, the command used to be, there was no mouse at all. Yes or no? So we have to use the commands and do the things. Unix was into existence at that time, but Microsoft has released such operating system at that time, and it was named as disk operating system. MS, disk operating system. This operating system is character mode operating system, wherein we have to type in everything. But slowly, the shape of the world has changed when Microsoft has released graphical user interface operating system with the name. What is the name of your graphical user interface operating system, guys? Presently, whatever I am using is a graphical user interface operating system, all GUI. And what's the name of this?
Windows
Windows.
operating system.
Windows operating system. Now, when a Windows operating system has to come into existence, slowly people started understanding the importance of computing, right? And then most of the people were not aware what is the usage of it at all, but people were using it. People were using it only. Some people for scientific research purpose were using it. Was not a desktop kind of a thing. Desktop means today every household has a desktop. It was not a desktop, or everyone have a laptop today. At that time, there was no laptops at all, but desktop was not for every household at that time. Only the people who are using for scientific research purposes and all. But when Windows has come into existence, people started looking at the computing with a keen interest. And amongst those people, they were really intellectuals. They started thinking how this operating system is developed. Yeah. So, guys, do you remember the first time when you sat on the computer? What we have done with the computer at that time? So, we used to use it for playing music or looking at video games, or you might have used it for paintbrush or playing games. We don't know the importance of a computing at that time. But today, if someone asks you, definitely we can tell thousand reasons why computing has to be used, right? But at that time we were not aware of what's going around in the computing world and all. People doesn't know the importance of it, but there were certain intellectuals, they started understanding or realizing the importance of computing, and they have found out how this operating system is developed. An answer for this question, how operating system is developed, is behind every software or any operating system what you see, you have a programming language. What is behind, or what is the mother of every language, guys, today? Everyone knew it, yeah. C. Don't you worry, I'm not going to teach you any programming here. But as an IT person, we have to know that everything what we are working on is out of some or other programming language only. So C is a mother of every language. C, C++, VC++, Turbo C++, Borland C++, all these programming languages are used to develop Windows, graphical user operating system. Then people got a realization, with the help of programming languages, you can develop wonders. You have developed an operating system here, that's a very big deal. And you know who has developed this Windows operating system? We tell Microsoft, right? But no, Microsoft has not developed it. I mean, I don't know whether you have listened to the interview what we had with Bill Gates. Bill Gates has an interview, U.S. interview. Therein he was cornered, telling that you are not the person, or your company was not the person who has developed Windows for the first time. You have just purchased it. You know who developed it? Israeli people. Yahudi people are 10, 15, 20 years ahead than us in computing. They were the people who have developed this operating system. That's a reality. But I'm not going here into realities. But out to the entire world what is known. Microsoft has developed it. But ultimate aim is here, with the help of programming language, you can develop anything and everything. This scale has come in people's mind, right? After that, these intellectuals looked at the entire business industry outside. At that time, business industry was struggling to maintain their information or data. If your business is in hundreds and thousands, still you can maintain with a pen and paper. If a business is going in lakhs and crores and multi-billion dollars, can you use pen and paper to store that information? It becomes very tough. You need to have some software to maintain that particular information or data. So, in this entire businesses, what is the very crucial department? Crucial department is finance. Yes or no? Everyone knew it. So, at one point of time, when there were no computing at all, the management used to call an accountant. Accountant used to sit with a ledger book and he used to write with a pen and paper and all. So, management want to take or decide, management want to buy some raw material. So, they have called an accountant and said, can you tell me what is the status of our bank account now? How much money has to come in? How much money has to go out? The accountant, without computing at that time, he has to go back, calculate everything, and come after 3 days. So 3 days you have wasted. My raw material has shooted up. So instant decisions were not possible because computing was not into limelight at that time, or no one was using it. So this was a major reason behind people started thinking, I need some instant decisions to be taken in my business. For that, I require an information from somewhere. That somewhere from where the information has to come should be a software application. Then it was a market demand. The very first package which was developed to fulfill finance need, we started calling those packages as accounting packages. This was the requirement behind people started developing something out of programming languages. And today also we have similar kind of a packages. What do you call them? Tally. Heard about it? Tally means focus. Yes or no, guys? Tally is an accounting package with which you can have full information related to finance or accounts, and some relate today some part of say sales, some part of material, some part of production. These all things are there in Tally today. But at that time specifically it was for accounting. So slowly accounting package has come into existence. The accountant who was using pen and paper now started sitting in front of computer. Black and white monitor. Package is loaded with the help of diskette. Done. So accountant started typing the information related to finance in it. Now the management has called him and said, gentlemen, what is the status of bank? Sir, I'll be back in 2 minutes. He went back and opened the accounting package. Two keystrokes to open what is the current status, third keystroke to give a printout. Dot matrix printout will give the print, and he will come with the printout to the management. Management has seen it and taken an instant decision. So this variation and change has made people to think about it a lot. And then they have come to a stage that computing is helping us to grow our businesses. So with this market demand, accounting was very much into computing. Then slowly, the next department beside it is sales department. Sales department people started looking into accounts and say, you're using computers here. So now why don't we use a computer? Because unless until we sell, how you're going to get the money? So then there was a demand for developing SD department packages. So sales packages were developed. Next, material packages were developed. Next, production packages were developed. Slowly, every department has come on to computing. Yes or no? Then management started saying, what? Our business runs on computers, computer software. Yes or no? So if this is the scenario, and if you want to look at this into a pictorial diagram, How does it look like? It look like this. Desktop 1, what do you have here? Package, which is dealing with, what is this? What is this? What is this? But the packages which were developed, Amma, they were developed in this fashion at that time, wherein presentation, database, and application all are clubbed as one unit. One unit, you can't detach them. Everything comes in a single floppy drive, okay, floppy, and that floppy people have loaded it on your computer. You can't understand what's a presentation is there itself, application is there itself, database, everything is in that one. So people were in one sense very happy. At one point of time, they were using only pen and paper. Now they started saving that information into their hard drives. And every day, evening, whoever is using that system, he used to copy that data into floppy drive and go home. Something goes wrong with computer. At least we have everything in floppy. I mean, your generation has not even seen floppy, I hope. Neither floppy nor CD. Now you have all pen drives. Yes or no? Hard drives, pen drives, and everything is there today. But our generation was very lucky. We have seen every stage of computing. And the very first computer what I worked was on 8088, 8086. And I am a computer science graduate. I have dealt with programming languages with 0 and 1. You know, binary language programming. In our final year, our third year, we used to have binary language coding. Binary language coding. But I was not fascinated towards programming, so I came into hardware. Okay, so at that time, having a computer with you is was a very big deal. I used to have it, so I used to load all kind of things on it. So my fascination was more towards software and all, loading and installation, network. So I came into this world. I didn't like programming, even though I was a BE computer science graduate. So now coming back. So in this way, entire environment has come into computing. Now you sitting there looking at this environment. Okay, can you tell me the loophole? When all these club things were clubbed into one unit, we started calling this architecture as R1 architecture packages. We can't call them as software applications. They're just packages. So people were very happy, but we human beings, our wants and needs are unlimited. Before we get something, we will be saying that I want that. Once you get it, you want it a better one out of that. So in this way, wants and needs are never ending for a human being. So once we started using them, we were very happy for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and a year. After that, we will come to know about the loophole of it. Now, you sitting there looking at this environment, can you tell me the loophole of this architecture? So the first loophole, what I see is you don't have integration between department. This computer is kept in sales department, doesn't have a LAN or network. At that time, no LAN, no network here. What is happening in production doesn't know to material. What's happening in a material doesn't know to finance. What's happening in sales doesn't know to finance. What's happening in finance doesn't know to sales. So these are the disadvantages what you have. That's the first thing. No multiple employees can log in and enter the data. Now suppose if you have your business in every districts of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and this computer is kept in head office. What is happening in Guntur, Nellore, Warangal, Vizag and all? The people who are doing the business there, they're still writing with a pen and paper. Every weekend, some poor fellow has to take that file and come down to Hyderabad and give it to accountant. He has to again type in that information into the system. That is not online system at all. No integration between department. The environment is not online. And the biggest disadvantage is application plus database plus presentation act as one entity. So after using this environment for a year or so, whoever started using it, they started scolding at it. What you are given to us here, that's a garbage box. We can't do anything much out of that. That's a limit for R1 architecture. So when you see such limit, then you know necessity is mother of invention. That's what a proverb is. What's a necessity now? This environment cannot hold for long. So someone has to come forward to develop a better than this environment. So who has come forward to develop a better environment? Guys, firstly, the hardware industry has sprang up and came with the concept of server. Earlier we had only desktops. These are all our desktops. But slowly the world has emerged from a hardware prospects and you've got a concept of server. And what was introduced to the world? LAN. My goodness. Guys, yesterday's LAN is today's internet. So just imagine in today's era, you don't have a mobile phone with you. There is nothing like some people will die without a mobile phone. What are we doing nowadays, guys, before we sleep? Mobile phone should be beside our pillow. And before I sleep, I look at the mobile phone to find out what has happened. Okay, as if Bill Gates is messaging me or Chandrababu Naidu is telling something about Andhra. We see all the messages. And the moment we wake up, the very first thing what we do is we look into WhatsApp. This is all because of this bloody internet. And again, our generation was very happy or very lucky that we did not have internet. At least we used to sit together and talk. But nowadays, in one room, four people will be sitting. No one is talking with each other. Yes or no? Everyone have their own reels going on. This is the life what has become, and this has become for this because of this internet and all. Right? Yes or no, guys? I'm speaking truth. And secondly, today we can't even live without internet. So, and this is all because of the LAN which has happened. When LAN was introduced, the server and client server technology has come into existence. Earlier, this environment was facing problem with only desktops. Now, every location, Nellore, Chittoor, Vizag, Vishakhapatnam, our Warangal, Hanmakonda, every dealer started having the desktops, and that desktops are connected by a LAN to server. Yes or no? So hardware is ready. Do you think once the hardware is ready, here's multiple sales people can sit here now, multiple material people can sit here, multiple production people can sit here now, and they can connect a server. But do you think like the same software which was used or package which was used will be applicable in this hardware architecture? No, it cannot. So when a user is sitting somewhere with his desktop connected to a server, what he needs at his end, what he needs? Presentation. So that means earlier, whatever the three entities were there, now this presentation is separated in the next architecture. And with the help of now you can have multiple presentations for every user would have a presentation for himself, and with that presentation he is going to connect a server, and when he connects a server you require other two entities to be loaded here. This is our actual software. Then the software people which we are designing, they have started designing application and database as one unit, separate presentations. And this software has to be designed to work on client server technology. And you know who are the first people to design this software which works with application and database as one tier, presentation as one tier? You know those people? No. Those people are IBMers. Guys, the five IBMers have designed such architecture wherein application and database acting as one, presentation separate, and we started calling it as R2 architecture software. And the name they have given to their software as what name, guys? Mainframes. And you know who are these five people? These five people are SAP's owners today. They were employees of IBM. And these five people have designed this mainframe software with this architecture. The moment that this software was designed, Amma, it was a very big hit in the world. Every second industry started buying it. Every second industry started buying it, and majorly the people who are running bank businesses started buying it. And at that time, your ICICI Bank used to use mainframe software only. And let me tell you how this software works. Now consider this particular server kept in Hyderabad, and mainframe application and mainframe DB is loaded on that server, and these are your 100 branches across Hyderabad. SR Nagar branch, Moti Nagar branch, Kalyan Nagar branch, Koti branch, Vanasthalipram branch, Kukatpalli branch. These are all branches, the Dilshid Nagar branches. You know how the operations go in a branch. If I want to deposit a lakh rupee, I go to a branch. This is SR Nagar branch now, nearby to me. And I give the money and a paying slip to the lady who is sitting in a cash counter. And what she has in front of her, a small monitor, that's a desktop, on which what is loaded? Presentation is loaded. The moment you give your paying slip, she will open her presentation, and what would be blinking in front of her? Account number. So she will be typing your account number here, and then she is going to do what? Enter. And where is she doing this? She is doing on presentation. The moment she hit enter here on a presentation, the command is flowing where? Server. In server, where it is going? Application has to process that command and go into database, fetch the record. Within no time, the lady has all your information. Lady has all your information. How many times you have withdrawn 100 rupees from which ATM counter also she can see. Yes or no? So, because this is how the database keeps and this is how the information is. Now she is going to count your money. She is going to type in your deposit 100,000 and she hits save. The moment she save on a presentation, anything is getting saved here? Nothing is getting saved here. It's only a medium. Everything is processed by application and saved in the database. And before you leave your counter, you will be having a mobile message. This is known to everyone, but no one has thought on it, how this is running. So at that time, this used to go on mainframe software. People were very happy. Yes or no? Multiple presentations here. People are multiple users are doing the businesses. Everything happy, happy. But slowly, when you know that when we start using something, we are going to come to know about the loophole. Now think that 100 branches are connected here. 100 branches are happily doing the work. Now ICICI has decided to open the branches in every districts. So they have opened branches in every districts, and every district require a presentation. Earlier, 100 branches are connecting it. The hardware what is on there and application work is processing everyone's work happily. Right? Now you have imposed another 100 branches on it. What would be the situation? Earlier, this user hitting a command, the command used to answer in a matter of few seconds. Now it started taking minutes. And still ICC want to increase the business, so they have increased, they have opened, they have opened their branches in every village. Now the situation is the environment which can support 100 branches, now you have 300 branches on it. What will happen? What will happen? Whatever is going to happen in any government bank, same thing will happen. The moment you want to deposit some money in your SBI or SBH government bank, first of all you have a big queue. By the time you reach, your number comes, the fellow will keep aboard lunchtime. Everyone might have experienced this. Secondly, he will say server is slow. Sometimes server is down. These all things will happen. And when a technology is stopping the business because of its architecture, then obviously something new has to come. This has become a limitation for this R2 architecture that it cannot go beyond certain presentations. And another big disadvantage is you cannot have a separate application to be loaded, because now 100 branches are taken care by this application. Another application you can have another 100 branches. We can't do it because you can't separate application and database. This has become a limitation of what? R2 architecture software. And this was known very clearly to our five people. So our five people went to the management of IBM and said, gentlemen, whatever we have developed, we did not understand that it will go so much hit, but it has gone a big hit. And you got a lot of customers and money out of it. But we are telling you that we have a limitation on it. So please give us a time and money and team so that we can build a better architecture. This was a proposal from for five people to IBM owners. Then what did IBM owners say? IBM has varieties of business. They are not bothered about one software. They said like, don't disturb us here. Firstly, don't disturb us. Secondly, whatever the work we have given, do that work and come down. Still, IBM mainframe has lot many bugs. Clear them. Don't come to us with any suggestions. We know what we are doing. This was a response of IBM owners to these five people. And now, guys, these five people are Germans, very ferocious people. They can't take anyone telling upfrontly to them. So they resigned their company. They went back to Germany. And after going back to Germany, software cannot be developed in overnight, right? So, but they had a very clear understanding about mainframe, how it is developed, what is the code and everything. So they sat for 1 year. They have developed similar to mainframe software, and they have named it as what? SAP R2. They have named it as SAP R2. And once they have developed it and named it as SAP R2, then they started selling it because everyone need money. So they were very happy that they are selling it to any countries beside German or inside German company. They started selling this software, which was very equivalent to mainframe, very equivalent to mainframe. Now they were one day they were very unlucky that they visited a customer who has earlier used mainframe, and after going there, they sat with him and they have started giving a demo about SAP R2. They gave demo for 3 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. This customer patiently heard everything and saw something new has to come and something. And finally, the demo is completed. This customer stood up and clapped at them and said, like, good efforts. But what is this, ma? Old wine in new bottle. Old wine in new bottle means what? You have made the same software to come in front of me as mainframe. The only thing is you have colored here and there blue, and then named it as SAP R2 and bought it in front of me. Don't waste my time, get lost idiots. Again they got thrashing. The moment they got thrashing again, they went back, they have kept this SAP R2 aside. And they had a very clear understanding. What is the disadvantages of R2, guys? Cannot separate and limited presentations can log in. Cannot have multiple. These are the limitations. Now, next, what has to happen? The next era should be in this way. They have to develop a software wherein application should be separate. Not only separate, but it should have a what? Primary application and secondary applications. They should have a separate central database and they should have a separate which can be loaded on every user's desktop. So if you can design such a software, then we call that software to have. And today every ERP is designed in this way. And you want to see how does it look like? It look like this. Guys, earlier we had a server. Today main server. In that main server, what is loaded? Earlier, we used to have only application. Now, primary application is connected by set of presentations. Now, as this is getting overloaded, SAP give you the provision of secondary application in their software. They can have it on another hardware, and then multiple users can still log in here. And if this is overloaded, next another secondary, another. If this is overloaded, one more application, one more application, one more application. You can have multiple secondary applications per single primary. And whether it's a primary or secondary, ultimately the data has to go into, and this is flow flexible that you can shift this somewhere else. You can shift this somewhere else as well. This was designed in this way. Are you understanding? And if anyone can design such a software wherein it is so flexible that you can load everything into one server or separate into different servers, we call this environment as R3 architecture software applications. And SAP were the first people to give this software to the world. Got it? And after SAP developing such software, all ERPs are developed in these lines. Are you getting it? And now the time has come that you have to write down the differences. Pull up your pen and book, and one side write down R2 architecture, one side write down R3 architecture, and start taking the differences. Guys, whatever I've explained, now I'm going to keep everything in front of you, right? Go back to R2 and write down. R2 stands for, what does R2 stands for, Amma? R2 stands for real time or runtime. Real time or runtime. Two-tier architecture. R2 stands for real time or runtime. Two-tier architecture. R2 stands for real time or runtime. Two-tier architecture. And write down R3. Write down R3 stands for R3 stands for real time or runtime. Real time or runtime. Three-tier architecture. R2 stands for real time or runtime two-tier architecture. R3 stands for real time or runtime three-tier architecture. Two-tier and three-tier. Got it? The first difference is clear. And go back to R2 again. Write down the next difference. Write down the next difference. In R2 architectured software applications, that means I'm speaking about this. In R2 architectured software applications, in R2 architectured software applications, presentations presentations act as presentations act as one tier. Presentations act as one tier. And and application plus DB and application plus DB act as one tier. Act as one tier. So the name act as one tier. So the name act as one tier. So the name, two-tier architectured software applications. So the name, two-tier architectured software applications. So the name, two-tier architectured software applications. Now go back to R3. Go back to R3 and write down in R3 architectured software applications. In R3 architectured software applications, presentations act as one tier. Presentations act as one tier. Central database act as one tier. Central database act as one tier. And and applications applications. Guys, beside applications, write down primary and secondary. Beside applications, open the bracket and write down primary and secondary. Primary and secondary. Close the bracket. Primary and secondary. Close the bracket. And write down act as one tier. Primary and secondary act as one tier. So the name. So the name. So the name. Three-tier architectured software applications. So the name, three-tier architectured software applications. So the name, three-tier architecture software applications. Got it? The second difference is also done. Now write down the third difference. Go to R2. Go to R2 and write down the third difference. Write down. In such software applications, in such software applications, in R2 side you need to write down Amma. In such software applications, one can one can neither one can neither one can neither separate one can neither separate application and DB. One can neither separate application and DB, nor can have one can neither separate application and DB, nor can have multiple applications, nor can have multiple applications to share the load of presentations, nor can have multiple applications to share the load of presentations, to share the load of presentations. This is R2 side, guys. Now go back to R3 side. Go back to R3 side and write down In such software applications, in such software applications, one can one can not only separate one can not only separate application and DB. One can not only separate application and DB, but also can but also can have but also can have multiple secondary applications, multiple secondary applications, multiple secondary applications to share the load of to share the load of presentations, to share the load of presentations. Got it, guys? This is a third difference. Go back to fourth difference. Example for R2 architecture software. Example for R2 architecture software are are IBM mainframes, are what? IBM mainframes, SAP R2, SAP R2, Tally, etc., Tally, etc. These are all examples of R2 architecture. Now go back to R3. Example for R3 architecture softwares are all ERPs, are all ERPs, are all ERPs like SAP R3, SAP R3, Oracle applications, Oracle applications, Microsoft Dynamics, etc., Microsoft Dynamics, etc. So guys, you have written all differences what I've explained in the class in the notes now. Guys, final thing what you need to write down is you need to draw one side this R2 architecture software application and one side R3 architecture software application. But wait a second, not now. But wait a second, not now. When you go back to your home, definitely you'll get this video, right? Yes or no? Venkat is sending you this video, right? So when this video comes in front of you, you need to write down R2 architecture software applications and draw a server and draw presentations and connect them. And on presentation, or here we can say client desktops or whatever. You need to have presentation written here, application and DB, and then close the bracket. That means they are one unit. This is R2. Now go back to R3 and you have to draw this R3. And a server is given in which you are going to have primary, central, and outside this server you can have a separate secondary and another secondary. Guys, don't think like secondary are only two. You can have still multiple. That depends how much load you have from presentation. Got it? You can have one, two, three, four, and then presentations. Draw this and then see me tomorrow. Guys, today's class is to make you understand what the focus was, to make you understand R3 architecture only. And now you got an understanding that SAP were the first people who have designed this architecture. Clear? Now, tomorrow's class should be what? If you can gauge what should be your tomorrow's class, then you are in sync with my classes. Guys, tomorrow's class, we are going to focus on how many softwares SAP has developed on this architecture. Now, what all those softwares, SAP has given three softwares in this period. Between what period? 1992 2003. You know the first software name. SAP has named their software on architecture because to tell the world that we have developed it. What is SAP software name, guys? Tell me. SAP R3. If you just say R3, you are speaking about architecture. If you are adding SAP beside it, it becomes SAP software name. And SAP has given how many software releases? Lot many, 1.0A, 2.0B, F, H, I. What was the last software of R3 architecture? SAP R3 4.7 Enterprise Edition. We are going to discuss about this software. And another software SAP has released in 1999. The software name was BID, 1998. Another software they have released is APO. You need to understand what does BW stands for, what does APO stands for, and the architecture is same. This is the architecture, but three softwares are developed on this architecture. And what is the importance of this system? What is the importance of this system? What is the importance of this system? All three softwares are developed in similar way. This is the architecture. Tomorrow, whether you want to load R3 system tomorrow, BW systems tomorrow, APO system tomorrow, it look like in this way only. But what people do on R3, what people use BAW for, what is the usage of APO, I'm going to explain you tomorrow. And then I will be precisely giving how SAP software architecture look like. What are we calling the main thing, guys? Today, what we have called it as primary application. In SAP terminology, what we are going to call it? What we are calling these things in regular terminology? Secondary applications. In SAP terminology, what are the names? Dialog instance. What you have called database, central database in regular terminology. In SAP terminology, database instance. This database instance comprises of what? All the departments. This explanation will be vitally done tomorrow in the class. Now, anyone have doubts in today's session? You can speak. Devi, Harsha, Mahesh, Mamta, Mani, Susis, Suris. Oh,
Sushrita.
I'll take some time, Nana. Don't take me long.
Okay, sir.
Susrita, Susrita, and then Harsha, Pavan, Pooja, Purna, Sayada, Srivastava. Anyone have any doubts on these things which we have discussed?
No, sir.
If you have any, then you can speak. If you are keeping quiet, then I will understand that you don't have any doubts.